When it comes to navigation, there's a whole bunch of options for Bootstrap. So this is a typical nav pill. You can also change these pills to tabs and have them as tabs above the content. So I'm going to refresh it there. You can see that now that they're typical navigation tabs that are above the content. And you can actually use this navigation in a number of different places. So it doesn't necessarily need to be as a navigation bar, because actually with Bootstrap there's a second option for a navigation bar. So if I wanted to have navigation within one of my sections here within the code, I can simply move those down and have them function as a navigation bar there as well. And then also you could connect that over to JavaScript in order to listen on clicks and so on. So with navigation, so we've got our HTML5 nav there. So we can type in class navbar, and then we've got some options for the navbar. So we're just going to do navbar light, I'm going to do background faded, and then all the items within the navbar are similar to what we were doing before, where we've got nav item is the class, and then we've got a nav link. So active is for the current one, and again with using jQuery, you can really switch those around, those active ones, as needed, and it's got a really nice search in there as well. So this is just a typical form and really nicely formatted. And you can see with Bootstrap you can really build out a website really quickly because you've got all of these options. So for the nav bar, we've got several different types we can do. We can do an inverse, we could do a primary. So if I do primary, and I'm going to get rid of that nav bar light. And I'm going to change that over to dark. And just show you the different options that we have with that. So we can do dark there, do primary. We have an option for an inverse. And if we want to be really specific, we can actually specify a class there. So we can just do navbar and a style. So I'm going to set background color, and from here we can pick a color. So I'm going to make it pink. And I'm going to get rid of this inverse so that we're not actually setting a default class color. And we see how really versatile it is. So we can also flip the light or the dark to light, and that will flip the colors, the font colors that it's going to use. And then all we have to do is just pick out what we like best. Also with the positioning of navbar, if you want to have it centered within the content, all you have to do is place it within container there. So just show you how that looks. So there are two options with the navbar. So we can do it across the full page, or we can center it just right above the content within the container. Usually I prefer to actually keep it outside of the container. And I think with pink, the dark goes a little bit better. And just going back out there and refreshing it. So I usually do keep it outside of the container because I kind of like this full width navbar, and it really brings quite a bit to the content. And then also usually I like to move down the container content where it's starting. So we can just do that by giving it an ID and actually moving it down, or we can position a header there above that and there's a number of different ways that we can add that spacing.